Welcome to another interesting episode on social engineering, the art and science of human hacking. Have you wondered why some people get what they always want from other people while you can't get a dime, or you can only manage to every now and then? I certainly have observed, and that question had bothered me for years. Why can one person close the big business deal where 95% of the people who tried have failed? Why can some men charm and manipulate women into almost anything when others, no matter how they try, their effort always seems futile? Why do certain women seem to get anything they want from men while others are still struggling to get on hello? Surely it comes down to the fact that these people are shrewd in their art of manipulating and handling people. But how do they do it? What are their techniques? Let's focus on the mind. The mind is one of the most complex aspects of human nature. The workings of the mind are something that has both puzzled and intrigued mankind for as long as we can remember. Philosophers, psychologists, and scientists have sought to unravel the mysteries of the mind. It is a generally held belief that the human mind influences our behavior and actions. So a lot of research work has gone into understanding the mental process that a person undergoes before taking action, whether good or bad. The physical aspects of the brain have focused on how information is acquired, processed, interpreted, and stored. Essentially, they hope to get a better understanding of how the brain can affect a person's way of reasoning. Growing up, we lived next door to this vibrant lady who can only be described as the sweetheart of the neighborhood. It would seem like she always had a smile on her face and a kind of word for everyone, whether child or adult. I cannot remember a single encounter with her that was ever in the slightest bit unpleasant. And this was more than just a childhood impression of a person. The whole neighborhood felt the same way about her. The only dark clouds I could see around her were the fact that she was alone, no kids, no boyfriend, and not much family around. She ran this tiny art and craft store that was pretty popular in the area, and I think she seemed contented and happy with that. When I had some challenges, she was one of the few neighbors who showed so much concern. She brought in food every day for more than a week. From that moment on, she was more than just a friendly neighbor. She became family. Fast forward to 2 years later, we heard the news that she was getting married soon. My mom and her friends had tried to fix her with some of the men around, but nothing worked. So news of her pending marriage was very welcome. We didn't know much about the suitor, only that he was fighting on the front lines and was madly in love with her. If it was possible for this sweet woman's smile to become brighter, it certainly did. I remember my mom using an expression, walking on the air, to describe her mood. A month or two to the wedding, she put up a sign to sell her store and her home. Said she and her fiancé are working towards making a down payment for their new apartment, and how they wanted to make sure that things were put in place in an urban center before their wedding date arrived. A week before the wedding, the house and the store were sold. She wired the money to her fiancé and redirected her focus to finalize the wedding preparations that is at hand. My parents invited her to spend the days leading up to the wedding in our home. It was supposed to be our family's gift to her. 2 days to the wedding, her fiancé called and we all took turns speaking with him. He had a strange accent, but we didn't give it too much thought after she explained that he had spent more than a decade in the Middle East. Apart from the accent, he generally sounded like a good guy. Everybody believes. The next day, she tried reaching him to find out his whereabouts, but she was unable to get through. She started to worry, but my mom and dad reassured her and told her he was probably on the flight back to the country. She tried to find comfort in that. You could tell that she was worried. Every time she tried to smile, she faltered. She clung desperately to the phone, and each time it rang, she jumped in fright. By the morning of the wedding, there was still no call from him. What started out as a beautiful day was beginning to look like a nightmare. My dad kept checking the local stations for any news of a missing flight or maybe a plane crash. Mom was doing all she could to stop the tears. By the time the day was over, the wedding didn't look any different from a funeral. The only thing missing was the dead body. Overnight, this thriving and much-loved businesswoman wound up broke, homeless and heartbroken. Her crime for the grim punishment was falling in love. In the days following her no-show wedding, she had a psychological breakdown. She was committed to a psychiatric ward for a few months before she had to move to another state to live with a distant relative. I never saw her again, ever. As a kid, it was hard to fully understand what had happened. All I heard was that she was a victim of an online scam, but her story left an impression that followed me deep into my adult years. Online scams occur on different levels, but fundamentally the patterns are the same. The perpetrators lay a dark and intricate web of deceit that entraps their victims using all or most of the markers associated with dark psychology. They set the bait, and when the victim bites, they create a false sense of security. This allows them to further manipulate the victim into doing exactly what they want before they go in for the kill. Despite the report and general awareness created about online scams, a lot of people still fall victims to these fraudsters every day. This got me thinking. It is not just online scams. We also see this in our everyday lives, our society as well. People in dysfunctional relationship with partners who use them in the most obvious ways, but they continue to stay in those relationships because they seem to be under some kind of spell. We see kids make friends with people who influence them in terrible ways, and despite the solid home training they have, they make the wrong choices over and over again. Their parents are helpless and baffled by the power that these so-called friends have over their kids. We tend to focus more on the terrible actions and consequences than the patterns that play out before these crimes occur, which would explain the increase in victim rates despite the widespread awareness campaigns. And that is exactly why I create this channel on TikTok. I conducted a lot of research and looked over the report of profilers on notorious perpetrators of these crimes, and I made a startling observation. There was one consistent factor in everything. The players changed, the technology changed, the times progressed, but the game patterns are almost always the same. And all of these patterns are attributed to social engineering. So you need to share this video to your friends and loved ones so they can protect themselves and consequently build a strong mental and emotional defense against such influences. According to James Williams, an author of Bulletproof Confidence and Dark Psychology, stay focused and be guarded.